This video is going to talk about comparing decimals, fractions, and percentages. So they want to know which of these is larger, 1/2 or 38%. Well, we should probably change either both of these to fractions or both of these to percentages. Personally, I think it'd be easier to change things to percentages, so that's what I'm going to do. 1/2 is the same as 50%. What's bigger, half or 50%? 50%, so half is bigger. 3/5 or 70%. Well, let's change 3/5 to something over 100. 5 times 20 is 100. 3 times 20 is 60. Which is bigger, 60% or 70%? 9/10 or 84%. 9 over 10 is the same thing as 90 over 100. So 90% or 84%? 90%. 7/25 or 30%? Let's change 7/25 to something over 100. There are 25 cents in a quarter and there are 4 quarters in a dollar. 25 times 4 is 100. 7 times 4 is 28. So that's 28%. 30% is bigger. 9 over 20, comparing to something over 100. 20 times 5 is 100. 9 times 5 is 45, which makes that 45%, which means that 46% is bigger. So let's start looking at which one of these are closer to 50% or half. 1/4 or 2/5. You can think about a picture in your head here. You can convert both of these to something over 100. 1/4 would be 25 over 100. 2/5 would be 40 over 100. Which one's closer to 50%? The 2/5. 3/10 or 4/5. 3/10 over 100 would be 30 over 100. 4/5 is the same as 8/10. 8/10 is 80 over 100. What's closer to 50? The 30. 3/5 or 1/4. We know that 1/4 is 25 cents on a dollar. 3/5 would be the same as, to put that over 100, 5 times 20 is 100. 3 times 20 is 60. 60 over 100 is closer than 25 over 100. Remember, percent means out of 100. So 50%, which I probably should have put this at the beginning, is 50 out of 100. Let's go ahead and compare decimals and percentages by changing both to an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. So let's change these both to fractions. 10% is the same thing as saying 10 out of 100. No problem there. 9.9 becomes 9 over 10 or 90 over 100. And we know that 0.9 is bigger. If we have 0.09 though, that becomes 9 over 100. And when we compare 9 over 100 to 10 over 100, then 10% is bigger. 28% or 0.34%, or 0.34, excuse me. 0.34, 34 hundredths, or 34 over 100. 28% over 100. Which one's bigger there? The 34 hundredths. Then we have 4% and 0.3. 4% means 4 over 100. 0.3 is 3/10 or 30 over 100. So it doesn't look it, but that's significantly bigger. Let's go ahead and change the numbers to a fraction with a denominator of 100 for all of these so that we can figure out which one's the biggest and which one's the smallest. So 0.28 becomes 28 over 100. 42% is 42, not over 42, is 42 over 100. 3/10 is the same as 30 over 100. So which one's the biggest one here? They're all over 100, so we just look at the numerator. 42% is the biggest, 28% is the smallest. So greatest, least. If you'd like, we can also talk about which one goes in the middle. But I don't have a lot of room to keep rearranging the fractions around here. 0.3 becomes 3/10 or 30 over 100. 23% becomes 23 over 100. 14 over 50, when we multiply both of those times 2, becomes 28 over 100. So the greatest one here is the 30%. The least one is the 23%, leaving 14 fiftieths in the middle. For letter C, we have 19 over 25. We know that 25 times 4 is 100. So 19 times 4. 9 times 4 is 36. 4 times 1 plus 3 is 7. That becomes 76 over 100. 72 hundredths is 72 hundredths as a fraction. 7% is 7 over 100. 7 is the least one there. 76 over 100 is the greatest, leaving 72 hundredths in the middle. For our last one, we have 1/4, 4%, and 0.4. 1/4, we multiply 4 times 25 to get 100 because of quarters in a dollar. So 1 times 25 is 25. 4% means 4 over 100. And 0.4 is 4/10 or 40 over 100. So 4/10 is the greatest. 4% is the least, leaving 25 over 100 or 1/4 in the middle. Bonus! So they want to ask, how does 35% compare to 1/3? This is where things get a little bit tricky because 1/3 does not easily change into 100. They ask if 35% was changed to a fraction, what would it be? Well, it would be 35 over 100. So is there a way to compare 1/3 to 35 over 100? The fractions have different denominators, and 3 doesn't nicely go into 100. So to compare fractions, we can cross multiply. We've done this before. 1 times 100 is 100. 3 times 35, let's go ahead and check our work over here. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 3 plus 1 is 105, which means that 35 over 100 is bigger because the 105 was bigger than the 100. Let's go ahead and compare these by doing the same thing. Now we're going to be comparing fractions by cross-multiplying. So here, I'm going to write this one up here because space, we have 5/6 and 85 over 100. So to cross-multiply, we're going to have 500 on this side, and on this side we're going to have 85 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 8 is 48, 49, 50, 51. 5/10 means that 85% is bigger. For 3/7 and 42% or 42 out of 100, we know that 100 times 3 is 300. And 7 times 42, well, we probably don't know that one off the top of our head, but when we cross multiply, 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 1 is 29. 294 is smaller, so 3/7 is our bigger answer. For the last one, we have 2/9 and 21%, or 21 over 100. 100 times 2, 200. 9 times 21, 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, is 189, which means that 2/9 is the bigger of the two. So now what we're going to do is we're going to order these numbers from least to greatest. So it's kind of up to you which way you choose. I know that I like to work with percentages, but 1/6, 6 doesn't easily go into 100. So I have a choice here. I'm going to first compare 17 hundredths and 13%, because 13% is 13 over 100. 17 hundredths is 17 over 100. So I know that my first number, the smallest number I see so far, is going to be that 13%. I'm going to see, is 1/6 bigger or smaller than 13%? So I'm going to compare those two. 100 on this side, 6 times 13, 6 times 3 is 18, would be 76. So I know that 1/6 is bigger than 13. So I know that 13 over 100 is the smallest. The next one, I need to figure out which is bigger here, 1/6 or 0.17. So to figure that out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to compare 1/6 to 17 over 100. 100 still on this side. 6 times 17, or 17 times 6. 7 times 6 is 42. 6 times 1 plus 4 is 102, which means 1/6 is smaller. It's the next biggest, but 17 100ths is the absolute biggest. So that's that question. Please delete. Thank you. For the next question, we have 37 over 100 compared to 28 over 100. So I know that 28 over 100, 28% is smaller than 37 hundredths, but I don't know where the 1/3 fits. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to try comparing 1/3 to 28%. So I'm going to do 28 over 100 compared to 1/3. I get 100 on this side. 3 times 28. 28 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. That's going to be 84, which means that 1/3 is bigger than 28%. Let's check 1/3 against 37 hundredths. 1/3, 37 over 100. We have 100 on this side. 3 times 37. 7 times 3 is 21. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 2 is 11. That makes 111, which means that 37 over 100 is bigger. So 1/3 goes in the middle. For our last problem, we have 5/7, 71%, or 71 over 100, and 68 hundredths, or 68 over 100. So I know that 0.68, 68 hundredths is smaller than 71%. I can tell that there. But then I have this 5/7, and I don't know where 5/7 is going to go. This one might take me a second to figure out. So I'm going to start off with 0.68. or 68 over 100, compared to 5/7. 100 times 5 is 500. 7 times 68, let's go ahead and figure that one out. Well, 7 times 8, I can never remember 7 times 8, but I do know that 7 times 7 is 49, plus another 7 is 56. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 5 would be 47, which means that 5/7 is bigger than 68. Now I just need to know, is it bigger or smaller than 71%? So I'm going to take the 5/7 times this, or compared to the 71%. 5 times 100 is 500. 7 times 71, oh boy. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 7 is 49. It is just smaller than 71%, which means we're going to put it in the middle. Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic rest of your day.